Okay, so let's give this another try. Sorry for focals, but hopefully the general thing will come across here. So the striker block on the SIG 320 is this little guy right here. So there is a very, very small spring that travels this way, coils around that boss, and goes down and lays on the top edge of the striker block. That is what provides the spring to return to position. Now, if you have a force that takes the striker block itself and physically moves it laterally, like yay, wide enough for that spring to get in there, you've now created a friction lock where that striker block is stuck in position. How likely that is, hopefully not, but if there's enough lateral tolerance inside the striker channel, that can happen. The other potential thing that's going on here is, where is it? Yeah. So inside of this T-slot, there is an extremely small coil spring that acts as a rebound spring for the striker. This can be seen. Let's get it forward and down. Here we are. Okay. So you'll be able to actually watch the striker itself move back up under spring pressure. Okay. Now, if there's enough crud in here, or if any amount of friction that can cause that coil spring to not rebound the striker from the breech face, then it's going to protrude. Or if this return spring for the striker block discharges and locks it into position at the wrong time, it will catch on the back side of the striker and keep it in a forward position. So the striker block rests on this tiny little ledge right here. So while it rests with the trigger not manipulated, it's going to sit right there. And then when you press the trigger, it moves up and has to go to at least this height to allow the striker to move forward. Now, it's also possible for that striker block to actually hold the striker in a forward position. So that's the striker all the way forward. So if there's enough downward force on the block, it prevents retraction. So I'm just pushing on the top of the block in the striker. And as I release, you hopefully heard the click and saw the motion. So if that's the case, if that stuff happens, which everything would have to be just right, but there's a possibility because firing pins and strikers do get stuck forward. But that would essentially convert the gun from a closed bolt reciprocating firing pin to where, if this is the breech face on the slide, this is a normal position, and then you manipulate the trigger and the housing stays still, but work with me. And then the striker protrudes a little bit, smacks it, goes kabang. If it gets stuck in this position under recoil and the striker does not reciprocate back like yay, what we now have instead is essentially a machine gun style closed bolt, but fixed firing pin. So as everything is traveling forward, the round is getting stripped out of the magazine, riding up the breech face, and there is a protrusion hanging out of the breech face that can potentially discharge that primer as it's feeding it into the chamber. So if that happens, your disconnector doesn't matter, your fire control doesn't matter, your barrel support, chamber support, whatever, doesn't matter, because you've essentially, for the one time, created a catastrophic malfunction. So that's a theory.